good, family? MasoMoney right back with another video. So, look, Antonio Brown has officially lost it, but that happened a long time ago. You know, he got hit a couple times too hard in football. Y'all know what football do to certain athletes. It turn you to a basketball player. That's why I hoop. I'm more of a hooper. But Antonio Brown was on track to be a Hall of Fame NFL player, but now he's facing an attempted murder case. And he did what most rich folks would do. He ran. He hit the Jets when they said the case was coming and went to Dubai.
Antonio Brown has been arrested on attempted murder charges. He is now in New Jersey waiting for extradition to Miami.
What do you think about CT? What is CT?
It's like brain damage, right?
I don't want to say you're brain damage. Do you think I got CT?
You know, every single time I make a video on Antonio Brown, I say the same thing over and over again. At this point, I'm willing to admit it's a blatant lie. Every time I say this is probably going to be the last video we make on Antonio Brown, he just keeps raising the bar in something absurd that he's doing that I can't help but cover. Antonio Brown is back in America, not by choice, not for a comeback. He was literally just extradited by U.S. Marshals from Dubai a few hours ago to face attempted murder charges. Yeah, the same guy who caught touchdown passes from Tom Brady in the Super Bowl is now in custody, being transferred from Newark, New Jersey back to Miami-Dade County, where he allegedly tried to shoot someone at a celebrity boxing event 6 months ago. We're gonna get into all of it: the shooting, the victim, the evidence, why he ran to Dubai, what this means for his future. But first, you need to understand just how far Antonio Brown has fallen, because this story is about way more than just one bad night in Miami. This is about a complete and total collapse of one of the most talented players in NFL history. This video is probably going to get demonetized. To help us with monetization, this video is sponsored. You guys have been flooding my DMs about our isn't just good.
Dang, they ain't help my monetization sponsor me.
Antonio Brown wasn't just good at football. He was generational. A 7-time Pro Bowler, a 4-time first-team All-Pro. He led the NFL in receptions twice, receiving yards twice, and touchdowns once. During his peak with the Pittsburgh Steelers from 2010 to 2018, this man was literally unstoppable. A 6th-round pick from Central Michigan who became one of the greatest receivers of the 2010s. He caught passes from Ben Roethlisberger, made the Pro Bowl basically every year, and was on a Hall of Fame trajectory. In 2019, he let the success go to his head, but in 2020, he got his redemption arc. Tom Brady personally recruited him to Tampa Bay, and AB helped the Bucs win the Super Bowl. It was supposed to be the comeback story, the troubled star finding his way back. But that's not how this story ends, because just months later, in January of 2022, everything fell apart in the most Antonio Brown way possible. In the middle of a game against the New York Jets, AB literally took off his jersey, his shoulder pads, threw his gloves into the crowd, and ran off the field shirtless while the game was still happening. Head coach Bruce Arians immediately said,
"He is no longer a Buck." That's the end of the story. Let's talk about the guys that went out there and won the game.
Career over. At the age of 33, one of the best receivers in NFL history ended his career by literally quitting mid-game. And you'd think that would be rock bottom, right? That was somehow just the beginning. AB's legal issues didn't start with attempted murder. They've been building for years. Back in 2020, he pleaded no contest to felony burglary with battery after allegedly assaulting a moving truck driver over a $4,000 dispute. He got 2 years probation, anger management classes, community service. Then in 2022, Tampa police issued a domestic violence warrant after he allegedly threw a shoe at his ex-fiancée and threatened to shoot her. Those charges eventually got dropped when the victim recanted, but the pattern was clear. By 2023, he was getting arrested for unpaid child support, owing over $30,000. Then came the bankruptcy filing in May of 2024. This dude made over $80 million during his NFL career, and he declared bankruptcy, claiming just $50,000 in assets against almost $3 million in debts. We're talking about owing money to everyone. $1 million to the truck driver he assaulted, over $1 million to a celebrity jeweler for custom pieces he never returned, hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit card debt. His life was complete financial chaos. But here's the thing about all those legal issues. They were still in the realm of a troubled former athlete. Assault charges, bankruptcy, child support drama. We've seen all that before with other players. This next part is way different.
But what about the
May 16th, 2025, just before midnight in Miami's Little Haiti neighborhood, Aiden Ross is hosting a celebrity boxing event at a warehouse, one of those brand risk boxing cards that was blowing up on Kick.
So Antonio Brown pulled up to a Twitch streamer's brand risk event and shot somebody. Interesting.
Media. Antonio Brown is there,
some
probably
brand
trying to
stuff
stay
that-
relevant in that influencer world. And that's when everything goes sideways. According to the arrest warrant that would come later, Brown got into
this
it
him
with
right
a
here?
kid named Zulkarnain Kwame
fighting
Nantambu,
that
someone
guy
who
right here?
claimed that he
Antonio
knew
Brown
AB
is
since
fighting the guy?
around 2022. Surveillance footage shows Antonio Brown
him?
throwing
That's
a
Antonio
closed
Brown.
fist punch at Nantambu, and suddenly there's a full-on brawl
Dang.
with multiple people involved.
That's right.
Security
AB got
breaks it up.
security,
At
right.
this point, it's just another
Damn, they
parking
kicked-
lot fight.
they
The
kicked
warrant
what he
alleges
did.
that Brown grabbed a black
Oh, you wanna
firearm
pull the
from
blick
the
out?
right hip area of a security officer named Eric
Hey, take security guard Blake.
Hour. Multiple witnesses captured
he
this
running
on
him
their
down.
phones. You can see AB on video advancing toward Nantambu on the sidewalk,
AB
weapon
trying
in
to chase
hand,
a
and
op
then
down and shoot him.
the footage shows Brown.
So Antonio Brown just chased his op down and shot him with a crowd of 100 witnesses watching? Nah, bro, not AB. You talking about AB who catch the footballs like these? He's shooting ops now? On camera? Oh, no.
Within and then the footage shows Brown within several feet of Nantambu when he fires, with the victim
Lucky
literally
missed.
ducking after the first shot. Police responded
He
to
tried to
shot
hit
spotter
that guy.
alerts and found 2 spent shell casing at the scene, plus an empty gun holster. Multiple witnesses in the parking lot identified Antonio Brown as the shooter. When officers detained Brown at the scene, he didn't have the gun on him anymore and no victims were immediately identified. So they let him go that night, but the investigation was just getting started. So you would think Antonio Brown would
Like
do whatever
with
he
the
can
40
to cover
camera
this up,
recording.
right? But
That's
he
it.
might have done
Did
the exact opposite. The very next day, May 17th, Antonio Brown did what he always does. He went to social media. He posted on
He went on social media and made a statement? You have the right to remain silent. You got to do your research on the right to remain silent. A free statement? Shit, it's not crazy.
X, I was jumped by multiple individuals who tried to steal my jewelry and cause physical harm to me. Contrary to some videos circulating, police temporarily detained me until they received
And
my
he
side
didn't
of the
write
story
that.
and then
That's PR.
released me. I went home that night and was not arrested, in all caps. He's
Nah, he
claiming
checked it.
self-defense.
Keep that,
He's claiming he was the victim of a robbery attempt. He also went on Aiden Ross's live stream the next day and said this.
Yeah, I got CT. I blacked out. I ain't know why. I blacked out, dude. I'm black.
But that's the thing, though. Be around a bunch of people who don't got them type of problems. They don't know about no CTE, PTSD. They think all this shit is a joke. He just laughed. This man dead ass serious. Like, yeah, man, I lost my mind, dog. I ain't mean to pop him. These boys laughing. Oh, look at that guy, man. That savage gangster. Oh, man, I can't believe it. Like, bro, this man dead ass just told you, yeah, I'm losing my mind.
I know what happened.
Right.
I know.
Now, legally
Listen, that's
speaking,
not real,
that's
bro.
a terrible
It's real
thing to
for this
admit. You just acknowledge that you don't remember what happened during an incident where you're accused of attempted murder. That's not helping your case at all. For about a month, nothing happened publicly, but behind the scenes, Miami-Dade detectives were building their case. They collected the surveillance footage, the cell phone videos, witness statements, hospital
People be
records,
thinking
the
they
shell
getting away with
casing,
it.
the
They
shot
building
spotter
their case
data,
level as
everything.
we
On
speak.
June 11th, 2025, a Miami-Dade
change
County
the way.
judge signed an arrest warrant charging Antonio Brown with attempted second-degree murder with a firearm. The bond was set at just $10,000 with house
so he
arrest
only had a
conditions,
$10,000
which
bond.
honestly seems low for attempted murder. But here's the
reasonable.
catch: Antonio Brown had to surrender
ran.
himself, and he never did. Instead, according to Miami Police Chief Manny Morales, detectives believe Brown was in Dubai, and Brown's Instagram basically confirmed it. He was posting from the Middle East, living it up while wanted for attempted murder back home. 2 days after the warrant was arrested, he posted a video of himself riding a bike in Dubai with the caption, #love from the Middle East. This man was literally taunting authorities while he was on the run. Now, technically, according to the Miami Herald, his trip to Dubai started before the warrant was issued, so he technically wasn't on the run, but the fact that he
he
stayed there for
probably had
nearly
a-
5 months after the warrant
a
became
tip.
public,
Hey, that may be
yeah,
coming
that's
for you.
just fleeing from justice. Not even rich sugar babies take 5-month trips to Dubai. The weird thing is, AB AB went mostly silent on social media after the warrant became public. He had been posting constantly before, like over 50 posts in the week before the warrant, and then suddenly nothing. That silence was deafening. It suggested that maybe, just maybe, someone convinced him to shut up and get legal representation. Which brings us to November 6th, 2025. Antonio Brown has been extradited from Dubai back to the United States by federal agents. United Arab Emirates authorities shipped him back to the States, and he arrived in Newark, New Jersey earlier on Thursday, accompanied by U.S. Marshals. Jail records show that he was booked into Essex County Jail in New Jersey, and he's being held there until they can transport him down to South Florida, where he'll be formally charged and booked into Miami-Dade County Jail. The Miami Police Department confirmed the extradition and released a statement saying this is just another example of the relentless work and dedication of Miami police detectives, working closely with the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office and U.S. Marshals to identify and arrest those who commit crimes in the city of Miami. After nearly 5 months of being essentially a fugitive in Dubai, AB is finally on U.S. soil and facing the music. Let's talk about what Antonio Brown is actually up against here. He's being charged with attempted second-degree murder with a firearm. In Florida, that carries a potential sentence of 15 to 30 years in prison. But it gets worse. Florida has these firearm enhancement laws that are brutal. Just possessing a firearm during a felony can add 10 years minimum to your sentence. Actually discharging that firearm, that's a 20-year mandatory minimum. There are also aggravating factors that could push his sentence higher. The shooting happened in a public place with lots of people around. A victim was actually injured. He allegedly fled the scene, and he's got prior criminal history with that 2020 felony battery conviction. Now, he could argue self-defense. His lawyer could say he was jumped in defending himself. They could challenge the witness identification or the video quality. They might try a mental health defense based on his CTE claims. But here's the problem. Prosecutors have multiple forms of evidence. They've got surveillance footage showing him punching Nantambu first, then taking the gun from security. They've got cell phone video of him advancing with the weapon and firing. They've got the shell casings in an empty holster.
They got as many cameras on him as his NFL games. They got every angle of him. He's cooked.
Shot spotter data pinpointing the exact time of the shots. They've got the victim's hospital record, and they've got multiple witnesses who identified Brown as the shooter. That's a strong case, like really strong. Could there be a plea deal? Maybe. They might offer him aggravated assault with a firearm instead, which would be 5 to 15 years, or assault with a deadly weapon for 2 to 10 years, or even reckless endangerment for 1 to 5 years. But given the strength of the evidence, prosecutors might not feel any pressure to offer a plea deal. And look, when you compare Antonio Brown to other NFL players who faced similar criminal charges, this is basically uncharted territory. Let's take a look at some examples. Aaron Hernandez was convicted of first-degree murder in 2015, sentenced to life without parole, and he ended up taking his own life in prison in 2017. We have a separate video on Ray Caruth, who conspired to murder his pregnant girlfriend in 1999, served 18 years before being released in 2018. Brandon Browner is probably the most similar case to Brown's. He was sentenced to 8 years for attempted murder of his ex-girlfriend in a 2018 home invasion. And of course, the famous Ray Lewis case, one of our most popular videos on this YouTube channel. Lewis faced double murder charges back in 2000, but he plea bargained down to obstruction of justice and got 1 year probation. He was able to continue his Hall of Fame career. But Ray was 25 at the time and in his prime. AB is 37 and hasn't played in almost 4 years. The key difference is most players who came back from serious charges were young and still had NFL value. Antonio Brown's career was already over before these charges even happened. That mid-game exit in Tampa was his last play in the NFL. Even if he somehow avoids prison, we all know there's no comeback at this point. Now, I want to talk about CTE for a second because there's this whole conversation happening around Antonio Brown and CTE, the brain disease caused by repeated head trauma, and AB himself has repeatedly brought it up. Like when he said, "I got CTE, I blacked out" on Aiden Ross's stream.
Yeah, I got CTE, I blacked out. I ain't know what.
We have a video covering Antonio Brown's entire career, how he behaved before the hits, and his interviews after, comparing them. It's one of the older videos on this channel. CTE is real, it's serious, and Brown played football at a high level for over a decade, taking countless hits to the head, including that famous Vontaze Burfict hit. Could that explain some of his erratic behavior? Maybe. Could it be used as a legal defense? His lawyers might try. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Lots of former NFL players have CTE or brain trauma, and they're not out here shooting at people in parking lots. The disease doesn't excuse violence. It might explain impulsivity or poor decision making, but prosecutors aren't going to just let someone walk on attempted murder charges just because they claim brain damage. Plus, AB's own statements hurt his defense. He admitted to blacking out, which means he's acknowledging that he doesn't remember his actions. That could actually work against him in court because it removes the possibility of claiming justified self-defense. If you don't remember what happened, how could you argue you were reasonably defending yourself? The mental health and CTE conversation is important for understanding Antonio Brown's overall decline, but it's probably not going to save him in court. So where do we go from here? Antonio Brown is currently in Essex County Jail in New Jersey. He'll be extradited down to Miami-Dade County in the coming days, where he'll be formally arraigned on the attempted murder charge. He can post the $10,000 bond and be released on house arrest while awaiting trial, or he can stay in jail if he can't make bail. Given his bankruptcy situation, even $10,000 might be tough. Once he's out, he'll need to find serious legal representation, not social media lawyers or guys who'll just hype him up. He needs a top-tier Florida criminal defense attorney who specializes in violent felonies. That's expensive, really expensive. The case will probably take months to go to trial, maybe even longer. Prosecutors will present all their evidence, the videos, the witnesses, the physical evidence, the victim testimony. Brown's defense will try to poke holes in it, argue self-defense, maybe even bring up the CTE stuff. The best case scenario for AB is,
I don't think it could be self-defense because he reached in his security guard's pocket and took the blick. You better have, you would need to have a lot of money to make this type of case disappear, because it's obvious that he did it. Wait, is that snitching? Let me stop talking.
Plea deal for a lesser charge. Maybe he serves a few years, gets out while he's still in his early 40s. Worst case is he's convicted on the attempted murder charge with firearm enhancement, looking at potentially 20 to 30 years. At 37 years old, that's practically a life sentence. Let's zoom out for a second. Antonio Brown's story is about more than just legal charges. It's about the complete and total collapse of one of the most talented players in NFL history. Think about the trajectory. 6th round pick from Central Michigan who becomes a 7-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first team All-Pro, catches touchdown passes from Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, should be a first ballot Hall of Famer based 100%. Purely on his on-field production during his peak years. And now he's wanted for attempted murder, extradited from Dubai, facing decades in prison, bankrupt. No team will ever touch him again, and his reputation is completely destroyed. The fall happened gradually, then all at once. The social media antics started as funny quirks, then they became concerning. The legal issues started as misdemeanors, then they escalated. The financial problems started as a few deaths, then bankruptcy. The erratic behavior started as diva moments, then it became a mid-game walkout, then a shooting. This is what a complete unraveling looks like. Not a single moment where everything breaks, but a steady accumulation of bad decisions, burned bridges, ignored warnings, and escalating consequences until there's nothing left. And you have to wonder, could anyone have stopped this? Did the Steelers enable him too long because he was productive? Did Tom Brady and the Bucs give him a second chance without proper support systems? Did the NFL fail to address his mental health issues when they were obvious? Did his friends and family try to intervene? Or was this always going to end this way, regardless of what anyone did? Was Antonio Brown always destined to self-destruct, and was it just a matter of when and how? Look, I don't know what's gonna happen in court. Maybe the jury sees reasonable doubt, maybe there's a plea deal we're not seeing coming, maybe his lawyers find some angle we haven't thought of. But what I do know is this: Antonio Brown's story is over. Not the legal case, that'll drag on for months. I mean his story as an NFL player, as a...
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, it sounds like this is the end of Antonio Brown as we know it, because man, he made a huge impact when he was doing positive stuff in the world, being an athlete, a spokesperson, a role model, but it seemed like whatever pain, whatever happened to him literally made him lose his mind. Now he facing a murder case. I'm seeing the video now. I didn't see this video. He chasing folks down. I thought we was in the trenches the way he was acting. Meanwhile, he's supposed to be $100 million dude. Man, this life will get you messed up if you don't got clarity. You got to have clarity of vision and be able to maintain. But if your mind messed up, ain't nothing you can do about that. I don't know if it's CTE, whatever, but bro, if you don't got a good mindset, if you can't think ahead and have decision making, then you in for a long, hard life, man. But I appreciate y'all for watching the video with me. I'm MasoMoney. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. If y'all did watch this point, just watch another video.